Thomas, go ahead and start us off.
Hey, Garrett, wanted to ask you about where this team is, I guess, mentally, leadership-wise, and everything else. I know you've gone through a bit of a rough stretch. Who are the guys that kind of keep everything together in that clubhouse right now?
I think Chuck and Stub have done a good job of just kind of keeping everybody together and positive. But I mean, I think everybody is on the same page. It's not like we're having to corral guys back in. I think everybody's on the same page, and good to get that losing streak done with yesterday in the second game. So we're ready to get on a hot streak.
Yeah, I know that you guys don't have a whole lot of people with large amounts of service time, but can you still fall back on the fact that it's early? I mean, do you still have to kind of remind yourself it's early in the season and it's not time for panic, or is that hard to do right now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what their record was, but the Nationals, won it all. They started off, I know, a lot of games under 500. So I think that if you look at this small sample size of how many games we've already played, it's just, if you take that and put it in August, it might not look as magnified. So I think it's super early. And like I said, we're just trying to put that in the past and live for today and try to go 1-0 today.
But as you put it in the past, what do you feel you guys learned during that road trip that could make you guys better down the road? And and did that even show up some yesterday?
Well, I think, in all those games, I think except one, we had a chance to win that game, and we didn't do that. And I think it's taught us that we've got to find a way with little things, maybe, situational hitting, moving a guy over, getting a guy in. It seemed like it was just one or two plays that we didn't execute, or a couple walks, and that's how we lost the game. So, I mean, to take from that road trip is we're in the game. We got to find a way to be that team that finds a way to win.
And just a couple things. Yesterday was a better day for you. At times the road trip was rough, but you were able to grind out some at bats. Where do you feel you are as far as your game and executing your game?
Feel good. Just trying to stick to what I do and try to get on base and create some mess and score some runs. That's all I'm trying to do, and try to help the team win.
Hey, thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
Patrick Saunders.
Morning, Garrett. How are you?
Good morning.
Hey, I was looking back at an interview we did with Dave Magadan about 2/3 of the way through spring training, and he was talking about offensively some of the things he wanted to see from this group. And you just mentioned a couple of them: driving runners in, scoring position, moving runners along, etc. You haven't quite clicked there yet. My question for you is, do you think some of that is due to a little bit of lack of experience? You're still a pretty young lineup. Or is it due to the fact that you faced a bunch of really good pitchers in the early going? And I guess the third part of my question, Garrett, is what, as Thomas mentioned, what you've been through recently, do you think you can live and learn, so to speak, some lessons, and as you go forward, maybe take advantage of those situations?
Yeah, I think experience, being in those situations, the more you're in those situations, guy on third, less than 2 outs, those are big at bats. Everybody knows those are big at bats, but I think the more you are in those situations, maybe the less pressure you put on yourself to try to get the job done. I think as you get comfortable in that situation, the easier it will become. So I think that's part of it. I think part of it is the pitching we faced. There's good pitchers everywhere here, though, in this league. So you can't really fall back onto that excuse. You got to find a way to get the job done, no matter who's out there on the mound and stuff as it might be. And I think we've always talked about situational hitting this year, especially. But I think that it's a huge play that can swing a game. And you know, we've had a few at bats recently. We've had really good Daza, you know, 2 strikes the other night. That was yesterday at the first game. Those are huge at bats, just huge at bats, huge momentum swingers for our team. And the more we could execute those, I think the better chance to win.
And one more for me. It's probably a media type question. I'm going to go ahead and ask it anyway. You guys have been criticized a lot in the early going, at least through the media. The expectations by the media has been really low for this team. Do you guys pay attention to it at all? And if you do you use it to motivate, or do you guys just say, we don't care what anybody else says, we're going to ignore it and just play our game?
I mean, as far as like day to day, I don't think too many of us pay attention to that. Obviously, going into spring training during the year, I know that we all knew that. You know, we heard about the projections and the projected record and all that. So as far as that goes, we know what people think of us, and you know, we're trying to turn that around. We don't believe that's going to be true. So that's a chip on our shoulder.
It is a chip on your shoulder. And one more thing, again, another media type question. I'm just curious. Maybe this is my own validation. Do you guys like having to do these Zooms all the times? Or do you personally, would you rather go back to the way it used to be when we could just stroll into the clubhouse and talk to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't mind you guys roaming around the clubhouse. For me, so it's just crazy Zoom stuff now. That's kind of, I feel like it's almost normal now. So it's a little weird to think about it going back to the other way.
Okay, thanks, Garrett. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Danielle, go ahead.
Hi, Garrett. You've been hitting leadoff pretty consistently this season. Is that a spot you've grown comfortable in? And do you have to change your approach when you're doing that versus hitting later in the order?
Well, first of all, it's kind of I grew up hitting leadoff. I've had, you know, a lot of years hitting in a leadoff spot. So I think that it is pretty comfortable for me just by experience. But I would say it's a different approach. I think, you know, we've talked about, you know, the 8-hole, kind of having to notice the situation before it happens with the pitcher, you know, hitting behind you in certain situations. And obviously, if you're leadoff, you got, you know, Mac, Chuck, and Story or Tap, you know, whatever, those type of hitters behind you in the leadoff spot. So it is a little different. But you know, I like leadoff. I think I'm comfortable there.
Thank you.
Mark Stout.
Hey, Garrett, thanks for taking the time. Hey, in terms of base stealing, do you have any kind of, I don't know if philosophy is the right word, or, you know, your approach, and how much prep work will you do? For instance, in thinking ahead to the Astros coming in and their staff, when will you do that kind of prep work? Is it day of?
Yeah, it's usually day of, and in this case, you know, with the day off tomorrow, I'll probably take a look at their guys. You know, I just see what they do when the runners get on first or runners on second. You know, Coach Giddy, he does a good job helping us out with that as well. You know, he's doing the same exact thing, so we can kind of compare what we saw from each guy and kind of come up with a game plan and who we can attack, who we can try to get stolen base off of.
Right. So you'll get some numbers from him on basically their entire staff.
Yeah. We'll know what their time is to the plate, or if they have any tendencies, pickoffs or anything like that. Anything that kind of stands out that can help us steal a base, I think is good.
You know, base stealing is a little bit different this day and age. Is there anybody that you watch or you know, check out that can steal bags just to get some pointers, so to speak?
Yeah, I think I've watched Billy Hamilton a lot. I think he's probably the best, just by how aggressive he is with his lead. You can tell that he's not scared out there, And I think that's a big thing. I think being aggressive with a big lead, or you can just see the jump he gets. It's not by accident. I think he really works hard at being able to use those little things that we talk about, tendencies or big count, and I think he does a good job of it.
Right. Hey, does your mom text you almost every day before games, or was that, unusual last week or the week before?
No, it was, I wouldn't say every game, but she's always texting me good luck or this and that. Maybe a little more since she became famous apparently, but yeah, she's been giving me some good advice lately.
So where does she watch from?
She's in Reno, Nevada.
She's in Reno, right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Garrett, man.
Thank you.
Kevin Henry.
Hey, Garrett, I apologize. I missed the first part of Thomas's question, so I hope this hasn't already been asked, but wanted to get a sense from you, the talk that was going on in the dugout yesterday whenever DeGrom was kind of on his strikeout streak, and how you guys kind of work together to maybe solve a riddle when a pitcher's in a motion like that.
Yeah, he obviously did his thing that he usually does, which is strike people out. It's a tough AB. I didn't face him yesterday, but I thought the guys were grinding it out the best they could. I mean, we had some really good at bats in situations to be able to put 3 runs across. I think in the 5th inning there, that was huge. That was huge momentum for us, and that was a big moment. And we didn't get that win, but being able to bounce back in game 2 was big for us. Hopefully carry that into today.
And then knowing that there was the quick turnaround and you were batting leadoff, was it maybe a little bit more important to get off to that good start, knowing that you kind of could control the tempo there?
I think every game is important to just get that beat. I think it's just a different game if you're playing from ahead rather than giving up a couple in the first and having to scratch and claw just to get back to the game. I think it's always important to get that lead early.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Patrick Lyons.
Hey, Garrett. I know typically, and at least in speaking with former Isotopes manager Glenn Allen Hill, that you guys are allowed to kind of run the bases at your will and steal bags when you need to, just to kind of get comfortable. How much is that true that you were able to just have the green light whenever possible on the base paths, and what were you able to learn from that experience?
Yeah, I think it's important for a younger player coming up through the minors to kind of figure some stuff out on their own. Test their limits, see what they can and can't do on the bases. I think it's important to have that green light for the players in the minor leagues, just to be aggressive. When it translates up here to a certain extent. I think with guys like me with my speed, it's not really unusual for a coach to kind of give them the green light when they think they can go or when they can. I think you can always pull a guy back, but giving that green light at an early stage in your career, I think kind of helps you realize your limits out there.
Would you be almost encouraged to make mistakes, like take an even larger lead, see what happens, or try to take a bag on maybe a fastball pitch? Would you be given that kind of freedom to like I said, make a mistake?
Yeah, they even in spring training, coaches are always preaching, test these guys in the outfield going first to third. I mean, if you get thrown out in spring training, it's like make aggressive mistakes if you're going to make mistakes out there on the bases. And you got to be a little smarter. The situation in the regular season with these games meaning so much, but in the minors and in spring training, we're always taught to just push the limits and be aggressive out there.
Thank you, Garrett.
Couple more from Thomas.
Yes, you brought up Billy Hamilton, so I thought I'd ask this question. Where would you rank if you guys had a 60-yard run to see who's the fastest man in baseball? Where do you think you rank?
I don't know. That's a good question. He looks like he's flying out there. like, I don't know. I think he's got some longer legs than me, but I mean, I don't know. I'd be willing to race anybody, see what happens. I don't really know.
Yeah, it's just, what is your time in the 60? And do you do it, even though you're not being scouted now per se for a draft, but do you time yourself, and what's your fastest time?
I haven't ran the 60 since maybe high school or college maybe, but it's not really something that I do in the off season or anything like that. But maybe, I don't know, maybe in a couple off seasons I'll try it again, see where I'm at. Hopefully I'm not getting slower.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot, man.
Thanks.
Nick Roque,
All right, Garrett. I wasn't going to ask, but since it was brought up by Thomas, who is the fastest on the team? At 90 feet, and then like first to third too.
We got some guys out there. I think the numbers can back it up a little bit. I would say I'm the fastest. I don't know if these guys will tell you any different, but me and Story have raced before. He got me once, I got him once. It was all about the start. You know, we might have to settle it with a third race, but I think we got some Sam. I think when Sam gets it going, you can see how much ground he gains with those legs. You know, Story obviously. I think we're pretty close.
Yeah, all right. I was wondering if you were going to say Sam Hilliard, because the other day when he went to third, I mean, he was a little bit. It was a little sneaky. It was faster than I thought. He was really fast.
He can run. He can really run. I think when he, like first and third, or maybe hitting the triple. I don't know what the sprint speed or the time is, but you can just tell how easy, how fast he's gliding out there.
All right, and just for the record, since you are on the Zoom, then you get the tiebreaker against Trevor. Just FYI. So you're currently the fastest. Just yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Right on. Yeah, awesome. Thanks, dude.
Justin Wick,
Garrett, I wanted to see your hitting perspective on Major League Baseball having the independent Atlantic League testing out moving the mound back 1 foot this year in trying to limit the 3 true outcomes in walks, strikeouts, and home runs. As a hitter, is this a change that you see would require a lot of adjusting, or is there even a different rule change you'd rather see to cut on those 3 outcomes?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's just I heard that and I kind of thought about the pitchers first. I don't know how the pitchers adjust to that. That just doesn't. I don't know. That doesn't seem to be the best way. But I don't make the rules, and I don't know. I guess I don't really have that much say in it. But I think it'd be an adjustment for both hitters and pitchers, but mostly pitchers.